Posted by u/crocodile to the ass. My mum wants my Switch because reasons. I've always had a strained relationship with my mum. I won't go into details, but just know that we never got along very well, and it only got worse as I got older. Car rides are absolute hell on earth because I'm stuck with her, and our worst fights have usually been in the car. After my parents divorced when I was about 13, I stayed with my mum because she was remaining in Canada where I'd lived my entire life, while my dad was moving down to America to be closer to his family. Being stuck with her during some of the hardest years of my life sucked, and I even went to stay with my dad during COVID because I just couldn't be in the house with her 24/7. In grade 10, I decided I was going to move in with my dad when I was done with school, and as soon as I got out, I packed up some clothes and left. I still visit my mum occasionally, but because plane rides are expensive and we still have a lot of tension between us, I don't go often. Every time I visit, I bring back a bit more of my stuff. This is important later. One more thing is that for Christmas in 2021, I got a Nintendo Switch. I know, I was late to the party, but in my defense, I never really wanted one until then. I was ecstatic, especially since I got a bunch of games with it. I didn't take it with me when I left. I had meant to bring it with me, but I'd left it in my room because I'd honestly just forgotten it. So after I left, my mum immediately went into my room, despite knowing I hate it when she goes in my room, threw my stuff without my permission, and tidied up. She threw out a bunch of stuff and unearthed things, but what's important for this is that she found my Switch. She took it downstairs and plugged it into the charging thing downstairs. I don't know when, but she eventually decided to get a few games for herself and my stepdad to play, which honestly, I don't have a problem with. I'm not very stingy about my Switch as long as nobody's actively trying to take it from me. The first time I went back to visit my mom, she was driving me home from the airport and she started talking about the things that had changed since I'd left, including the new Switch games. I just kind of nodded along because, again, not a big deal. We got back to the house and everything went pretty alright. The dog was absolutely ecstatic to see me again. My stepdad was happy too. My room looked fine, and in general, it was nice to be back. We played a bunch of games on my Switch and just had fun. It didn't take long for my mum and me to stop fighting, but it was considerably less stressful since I knew I had somewhere else to go. Before I left, I packed up a bunch of stuff, including my Switch. I put it in the case with my games. I left the games my mum and stepdad got and put the case in my bag. While my mum was driving me to the airport, she asked me if I had the Switch with me, and I said yes. She got all huffy and upset, which confused me because it's mine. I asked her what the matter was, and she said that I should have left it. And when I asked why, she said something along the lines of, "Clearly you didn't care about it enough to bring it with you the first time you left. You wouldn't have known it existed if I hadn't found it for you." I was again confused because, yes, while my room was messy, everything had its place and I knew where everything was. I think the term is controlled chaos, including the Switch. I told her I knew where it was, I just forgot to bring it. She knows I have a bad memory and always acts like I forget things on purpose or just use it as an excuse. Her response was to tell me I still loved it and she and my stepdad had so much fun playing on it, so I shouldn't be selfish and take that from them or whatever. I told her it's mine, I can do what I want with it. And of course, she brought up the "I paid for it" thing, which she did, but she only paid half. She split the cost with my dad. Not to mention it was a gift, and it's kind of shitty to take back other people's gifts 2 years later because I paid for it. I told her that doesn't change anything. She still gave it to me. She said something about my phone, which she also split the cost of with my dad and gave to me as a gift. And I just looked away and went quiet, which is my way of saying I'm done talking about this. If you say anything else about it, I will ignore you. It's how I've learnt to cope with her BS over the years. When an argument isn't going anywhere, it's best just to end it. I promised to bring it with me every time I visit, and that was that. We didn't speak for the rest of the car ride, which was, fortunately, not very long. I got on my plane, flew back to my dad's, and went home with my Switch, some more clothes, and a few books. We haven't brought it up since. and I'm hoping my mum's gotten over it by now. I've held true to my statement and brought it with me each time I visit. So yeah, not as crazy as some other stories on this sub, but it still weighs on my mind a lot. I have so many more stories about her, but most of them are less about entitlement and more about just treating me poorly. We've had our ups and downs, and I'm not discounting the positive experiences we've had, but God, are there some bad ones. Thanks for reading if you got this far. Unclench your jaw, drink some water, and have a nice day/night. Now on to reading some of the comments for this story. This comment is from Potted Nye. God, my mum also wanted my Switch. My boyfriend had one, but decided to get the newest version, and he gave the old one to me. My mum kept hinting that I should just give her the old one. When I made it clear that I wanted to keep it, she moved on to me just buying one for her for her birthday or Christmas. This went on for years, and she even gone straight to my boyfriend to ask, as well as tell my sister and her husband that I am going to get her a Switch. If I hadn't cut contact, she would probably still be asking. My mum has always demanded more and more extravagant gifts throughout the years. I remember buying her a laptop for her birthday when I was 14 with the money I made, no allowance. Like, no, this Switch was a gift to me, go get your own. And this comment is from C64128. She sounded like an entitled bitch. Do you have a relationship with her today? And OP replies, I still have something of a relationship with her. She visited last week to discuss something in person with my dad, and we went out for breakfast. It was a little strained, but we were mostly cordial. I can't say I hate her, but we are pretty distant nowadays. And the reply to that was, at least you did get out of her house and on your own. Now when you meet with her, it's on your schedule and terms. This comment is from Merely Dreaming. I was also late to the getting a Switch party, except it was originally my youngest brother's. But he grew bored of it a week after my younger brother bought it for him, and he ended up giving it to me. If Mum wants a Switch, she can buy one herself. To which OP replies, exactly. It's not like she doesn't have the money. She isn't rich by any means, but from what I've seen, she isn't quite struggling. I'd even been willing to pitch in a bit. And the response to that was, if she needs money to buy one, stepdad is also there, and if they can't afford one together, they can create a Switch fund jar.